So, you've probably heard of Alibaba, the giant of online shopping in China. You know that Haier makes fridges, and Huawei makes smartphones, and Lenovo brought the personal computing division of IBM.
And you probably know that these new London taxis are now all made by Geely, a Chinese business that only launched in 1986 and has since bought out Volvo. But there's a bunch of other rising Chinese brands, hundreds in fact, that you've probably never heard of, but you really ought to know about because they're a sign of what's to come.
WPP's been working in China for over 40 years. We know this market well, and we see that change is in the air. Here are some of the brands we think signal the can-do spirit and increasingly global vision that Chinese brands now have. OPPO started out making MP3 players, remember those? Then MP4 players and Blu-ray players. But now its big thing is smartphones. It's sold around 200 million camera phones worldwide. It pitches itself as the selfie specialist. What's exciting though is not so much what they're doing in China, but how it's localizing each time it enters a new market. In India, it's gone from unheard of to a household name in just 3 years. The reason? Localization. It's partnered with the Indian cricket team for its advertising. This video alone has been watched 32 million times on YouTube. And it's launched a special red limited edition phone to celebrate Diwali. Perfect for capturing those special moments with the family. Chinese brands also doing online games exceptionally well. YUZU is among the brands making a huge impression. It's best known for its fantasy game, League of Angels. It's played by hundreds of millions of people in around 150 countries. The business is less than 10 years old, and already it has 8 overseas offices. It's generating about $500 million in revenue a year. Like many thriving Chinese brands, its focus is on 3 things: high quality, famous intellectual property, and globalization. You know about Alibaba and JD.com, which sell, well, just about everything you can think of. Now, meet Shein, which focuses on youth fashion at bargain prices. There's clothing, shoes, jewellery and other accessories, all aimed at young women and teenage girls. It turned 10 years old this year and delivers to over 80 countries. It has warehouses around the world for speedy shipping. And it has websites for customers in the US, Middle East, Australia and a bunch of European markets. The brand's been such a hit with global bargain hunters that it's been able to buy up another cross-border fashion brand, Romeweave. Ninebot is another Chinese brand you're probably not familiar with. But if you've heard of the US brand Segway, then you'll have an idea of what they do. In fact, Ninebot bought up Segway 3 years ago, just 3 years after Ninebot launched. It's a robotics and transport specialist, and it manufactures both in China and the US. Ninebot sells in over 80 countries, and it's growing at about 40% a year. Techno is another smartphone brand, and it's one that's not even that well known in China, much less in the West. But go to Africa and you'll find Techno's phones are everywhere. In fact, around every 3rd mobile phone sold in Africa is now a Techno. They're selling more than either Apple or Samsung. Like others, Techno's been localizing, but not just with their communications. Techno's phones have been adapted to the conditions of Africa. They've multiple SIM slots and super long battery life. That's important in a market where it's not always easy to plug in and recharge. Techno has developed a way of getting better selfies for people with darker skin tones.
Why do you need to know about these brands? Because they're agile, they're innovative, and global consumers know a good deal when they see one. These are only a handful of literally hundreds of young Chinese businesses launching in China with plans to go global.
Already there are dozens of Chinese brands that have become heavy hitters internationally. Lenovo, for instance, makes nearly 3/4 of its revenue from outside of China. And there are Chinese airlines, energy companies, appliance makers, all sorts that make around half of their money from outside their home market. Should you be worried? Or maybe even excited? That's up to you. Just don't let the rise of Chinese global brands pass you by.